All right, so yesterday we took time to go over the multiple choice, and today we're going to go over the free response questions to get ready for our test tomorrow over linear regression. So you'll notice that all three of these questions required you to take computer output and write things about it. So number one is talking about windmills. They generate electricity. In this case, they're measuring it in amperes or amps. And they're looking at the relationship between the velocity of the wind and how that is predicting how much electricity is being produced. So, part A basically says write the line. So in this question, it says, let's see, say predict. Yes. Do you see where it says for predicting electricity production? That phrase right there tells me I'm going to write electricity hat or electricity production hat or production hat, whatever you want to write. Now, I was telling David this, but if you use Y, then you have to tell me what Y is. Okay? So that's why I always tell students to use the words. Then you don't have to do the extra step. Okay? Equals. I put the constant first, 0.137, but you could have written the slope first, plus 0.240 times, and the x value is actually written there for you. So I'm going to write wind velocity. Any questions on A? A is complete. A is done. Let's stay, Liam. Cool. Everybody good? All right, now part B. How much more electricity would the windmill be expected to produce on a day when the wind velocity is 25 miles an hour compared to a day when the wind velocity is 15 miles per hour? Now, there's two ways to do this. I'm going to go down here to do B. All right, personally, what I see is that the difference between those two wind velocities is 10 miles per hour. That's the way I see it. And if it's, if it's 10 miles per hour, think about this. When I look at the slope of 0.24, that's how much electricity I expect to be produced with an increase of 1 miles per hour, or 1 mile per hour. So if I increase the wind speed by 10 miles an hour, I take my slope and multiply it by 10. So I would write 10 times 0.24, which is 2.4 amps. So I'm expecting on that day, when I have 10 more miles an hour of wind, to produce 2.4 more amps. Now, the other way to do it, which I think is what I saw Liam's group do, is they actually plugged in 15 and plugged in 25, and then you could subtract those answers, and you'd get the same thing. 2.4 amps. I don't care which way you do it. Bless you. Okay, so it's up to you. Really, this question is testing your understanding of the slope of the model or your ability to plug in to a model. Any questions on part B? Again, there's two ways to kind of attack this problem. Okay, now, when you read part C, and I'll go a little bit further down for part C. When you read part C, what proportion of the variation in electricity production, the moment I read that, the moment I start reading this question, alarm bells start going off in my head that this is asking me to look at what? It's actually asking me to look at R squared. Remember, I told you R squared is the percentage of the change in your Y that can be explained by your X. Proportion and percentage, very similar words. Variation and change, also very similar words. All right? So when you look at the table, look at the R squared. It's right here. Don't ever look at R squared adjusted. You don't need to know that one. So I would write 87.3% of the change in electricity production can be explained by wind velocity. I'm looking for something that says that statement. And just be careful, because tomorrow there's a better than most chance that you're going to see that r squared again.
So we're not writing tomorrow.
Oh, they're definitely writing. You're writing on the grade cam. Yeah, always write on the grade cam. Just don't write in the box. Everybody good on part C? Okay, I'm going to go to number 2. Number 2 and 3 are going to go very quickly. Now, number 2 and 3 is just practice on writing the line. All right? So again, I'm always going to use words instead of X and Y. So for this one, I believe it was the height of the soap suds was the predicted one. So height, hat, equals the constant of negative 2.679 plus 9.5 times the amount. And you have done it. Now, you'll know tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're not going to have any questions like this where it's only one part. Tomorrow, I think the question has 4 parts. It's only one. There's 4 parts to it. Yes. Any question about the soap suds? Okay. And then number 3 is talking about the taxi cab company. This one gives you, should look at this. Look up here, guys. Take a look up here. This one actually gives you the scatter plot. Does everyone see that? So if you're having trouble about which one's X, which one's Y, well, you know that this is the X-axis. That's the Y-axis. So it's going to be fare hat equals 4.296 plus 1.229.
Bless you.
Thank you. Times mileage. Now, just for funsies, do you think this linear model is appropriate? Why, Daisy? Not in the scatter plot. If you say scatter plot, you won't get full plot. In the residuals plot, right? In the residuals plot, there's no pattern, so this model would be appropriate. They didn't ask that, but hey, you know tomorrow. They could. All right. Any other questions about the taxi cabs? All right.